We're now ready to examine the first sub-item, 8A, examination of nominations for inscription on the list of intangible cultural heritage in need of urgent safeguarding. The floor is now handed to the evaluation body to present to us its findings.
Thank you, Madam Chair, to give us the floor. And we'll start with the traditional knowledge and technique associated with the past-to-vanish Mopa Mopa of Putumayo and Narino, submitted by Colombia. The traditional knowledge and technique associated with past-to-vanish Mopa Mopa of Putumayo and Narino encompasses 3 traditional trades: harvesting, woodwork, and decorative varnishing. After initiating a dialogue process on criteria U3 and U4, the evaluation body considered that the nomination satisfies all 5 criteria. More specifically, it noted that the file offers a well-documented overview of the current situation relating to the element, and the safeguarding plan adequately responds to the specific threats identified. This is the first case of recommendation from the evaluation body that already takes into consideration the outcomes of the dialogue process. Let me therefore briefly explain how the draft decision is structured. Paragraph 1 provides a summary presentation of the nomination as customary. Paragraph 2 includes an assessment of the criteria that have been considered as met based on the nomination file alone. Paragraph 3 is a new additional paragraph to reflect that the evaluation body considered that criteria were satisfied after a dialogue process was initiated. In the present draft decision, this is the case of criteria U3 and U4. In conclusion, the evaluation body recommends the inscription of this element on the urgent safeguarding list. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for this clear presentation. Your explanation on the structure of the decision is most helpful and will save us from precious time when we also examine the remaining nominations concerned by the dialogue process. The Bureau did not receive any requests for debate or amendment for this file. May I therefore ask the committee to adopt the draft decision on this file as shown on the screen as a whole.
Madam Chair, we have a request for the floor.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead, Peru.
Muchas gracias, Presidenta. Estamos muy satisfechos con el informe que ha hecho el órgano técnico evaluador. El jardín de Pasto merece realmente toda nuestra atención y protección para su preservación. Es un ejemplo representativo de la gran capacidad humana para absorber diferentes culturas. Como sabemos, refleja la cultura autóctona, la española y la asiática. Hasta Pasto llegó el Tahuantinsuyo y Pasto fue parte del Virreinato del Perú, de allí los indudables vínculos que existen entre este bien y el Perú. En ese sentido, expresamos nuestra plena disposición para colaborar estrechamente con Colombia en la salvaguarda de este preciado bien cultural y material de indiscutible valor para toda la humanidad. Gracias.
Thank you, Peru. Brazil has indicated they want to take the floor. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Muchas gracias, señora Presidenta. Queríamos simplemente asociarnos a las palabras que han sido dichas recientemente por Perú y congratular a Colombia por presentar este importante elemento. Gracias.
Thank you, Brazil. So at this point, I see no objection. I therefore declare decision 15.com8.a.1 adopted. Colombia, you are now recognized for 2 minutes, and I understand that you will be submitting your video, and so the video will be played at this time.
Reciban un saludo muy especial desde Colombia. Saludo especialmente a los hábiles recolectores del Mopa Mopa en Putumayo, a los carpinteros, a los virtuosos maestros del barniz de Pasto y sus aprendices en Pasto, Nariño, y las demás personas y entidades que han hecho posible la inscripción de este oficio ancestral de Colombia en la lista de Patrimonio Cultural Inmaterial que requiere medidas urgentes de salvaguardia. Ratificamos nuestro compromiso de salvaguardar una manifestación que es testimonio de la diversidad cultural del planeta, el barniz de Pasto Mopa Mopa de Putumayo y Nariño. Esta inscripción es un llamado a la responsabilidad que tenemos como país en la implementación de un plan especial de salvaguardia para garantizar la viabilidad de este testimonio de la cosmogonía del sur andino y el piedemonte amazónico colombiano. La combinación de simbología y maestría expresada en el arte de Mopa Mopa es sin duda un saber que la humanidad no puede darse el lujo de perder. Por eso los maestros artesanos, los sagaces recolectores del Mopa Mopa y las distintas instituciones y entidades involucradas en su protección y promoción, agradecemos al Comité Intergubernamental por reafirmar la necesidad de construir una ruta de salvaguardia inmediata para este conocimiento y posicionar a Colombia, a Nariño y a Putumayo como territorios de patrimonio. Me complace dar la grata noticia de que este maravilloso proceso en pro del territorio, la identidad y la diversidad de nuestro país es reconocido por la comunidad internacional comprometida con la salvaguardia del patrimonio cultural inmaterial.
Mi nombre es José María Obando Montenegro, oriundo de esta capital y que necesariamente somos practicantes de esta artesanía del barniz de Pasto. Agradecemos mucho a la UNESCO por haber otorgado esta distinción que verdaderamente la merecíamos, porque una artesanía que nos ha distinguido tantos años acá en nuestro medio, en el sur de Colombia, era merecedora de que tenga un reconocimiento a nivel mundial.
La cultura es de todos. Ministerio de Cultura.
Thank you, Colombia. Could the evaluation body please introduce the next file? A chairperson of the evaluation body, please proceed.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. The next file is wheat culture in Georgia, culture of wheat, endemic species, and land race, cultivation and utilization in Georgia, submitted by Georgia. Wheat culture, culture of wheat, endemic species, and land race, cultivation and utilization in Georgia encompasses numerous traditions related to wheat cultivation and use. Wheat plays a major role in the life of Georgians, both as a daily food and as a component of rituals, medical treatments, and other social practices. The evaluation body considered that criteria U4 and U5 are met, but that the information provided is not sufficient to determine whether criteria U1, U2, and U3 are satisfied. In particular, the information provided is not sufficient to fully explain the relationship of the diversity of cereal species and the expressions of knowledge and practice concerning nature and the universe. Furthermore, the file does not provide sufficient information on concrete measures aimed at safeguarding the element. In conclusion, the evaluation body recommends that this nomination be referred to the submitting state. Thank you.
Thank you. Georgia is connected, but we did not confirm they wish to take the floor. I would at this time ask that the committee to adopt draft decision on this file as shown on the screen as a whole. Azerbaijan, you wish to take the floor?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
If I want to change the document in English, so if what culture? Now, if we have an agreement to adopt the decisions, so then we have no word to say. Thank you. That's enough.
Thank you. Thank you. At this point, as there is no objection, I'm getting a message here, members. Côte d'Ivoire, you wish to take the floor? Please go ahead.
Oui, excusez-moi, madame, est-ce qu'on respecte le gentleman agreement puisqu'il y a quand même 3 critères qui ne répondent pas aux critères? Il y a 3 points. Est-ce qu'on peut quand même donner la parole à la Géorgie pour qu'il s'explique?
Madam Chair, may I remind you of Rule 12.4?
Thank you, Côte d'Ivoire. Georgia, do you wish to take the floor?
Madam Chair.
Please go ahead, Tim.
Madam Chair, yes, sorry. There is a rule, I wish to remind the committee members of Rule 12.4. Sorry, 22.4. Concerning discussions during decisions. Only committee members may take the floor during the decision-making unless a committee member is asking a specific question to the submitting state. In that case, for Georgia to take the floor, it would require a specific question to a submitting state from a committee member to Georgia about its file. If there is no specific question but a general statement, Georgia may be given the floor after the adoption of the decision. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Est-ce que je peux poser la question? Je peux lui poser une question. Je peux poser une question à la Géorgie.
Please go ahead, Côte d'Ivoire, if there's a specific question.
Oui, je peux leur demander l'importance des aspects qu'ils ont donnés aux aspects.
One moment, please. Côte d'Ivoire. One moment, please. Tim, could you guide us going forward on this matter? Please. Thank you.
Okay. Any committee member may ask the submitting state a specific question. The submitting state may only speak to respond directly to that question. However, after the decision is adopted, of course, the submitting state may be given the floor to make a statement which it desires. Thank you.
So, Côte d'Ivoire, are you asking a specific question of the submitting state?
Oui, je peux leur poser la question relative aux aspects culturels. J'aimerais qu'ils nous éclairent davantage sur les aspects culturels de cette pratique du blé. Quels sont les aspects culturels? On nous dit, l'organe d'évaluation nous dit que l'importance est mineure. Ce n'est pas pour polémiquer, mais j'aimerais qu'ils nous expliquent davantage quels sont les aspects culturels de cette pratique de culture du blé, s'il vous plaît.
Georgia, do you wish to respond to that question?
Yes. Can we reply?
Please go ahead, Georgia.
Thank you very much to the chair of the committee and to the evaluation body for important observation and for important comments and for this opportunity to answer the question. The cultural aspects of the wheat cultivation and use in Georgia is immense, huge, and diverse in different parts of Georgia, and it concerns the whole process from the seeds conservation, from the seeds up to the bread sowing and plowing and Every action, every part of the whole process is reflected in habits and customs, and they are very diverse in different parts of Georgia. And these cultural units, this culture with all the rules and habits and customs are preserved by the wheat growing communities and individual farmers, and most of them live in the mountainous areas. Unfortunately, few of them remain, but they continuously kept these customs alive. Also, important customs are related to the social responsibilities of the communities, also to consuming, not only growing wheat, but also consuming. And it includes rituals.
Thank you, Georgia. 2 minutes up. I'm sorry. I will now ask Azerbaijan to take the floor. They've indicated they wish to do so.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to thank the Georgian delegation for their explanation. Actually, Azerbaijan would like to thank the evaluation body for the careful examination of the nomination. So indeed, the criterion U1 is one of the most important ones since it's directly related to the identification of the element. So while our delegation fully understands the concerns by the evaluation body with regard to criterion U1, and some information could have been better placed, so we would tend to think that one can find passages and extracts from the file that can answer to the question raised in this section. So for instance, we find explanation of cultural aspect of the element and its meaning in several parts of the section 1 of the nomination file, mentioning cultural practices symbolizing life and resurrection, abundance for the communities. One can also find a similar information in the video that accompanies the nomination. So finally, the description of the element itself, as quoted in the paragraph 1 of the draft decision on this file, also mentions that, I quote, many traditions continue to be practiced in communities and households, such as blessing the furrow and sharing seeds and starter bread, and wheat grains are still widely used in rituals related to the birth, marriage, and death. So for us, the answers to the questions asked for this criterion can be found in the nomination. So if other committee members agrees, so we would support changing refer to yes on this criterion. Thank you.
I will now ask if, do we proceed as we were before?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
We received no amendment from Azerbaijan. I understand they wish now to submit an amendment. And if they do so, could they please submit the amendment in writing? We did request all amendments to be received by 10 a.m. this morning. Thank you.
We will take the amendment. Azerbaijan, do you have the amendment?
Actually, no. So if, as I mentioned, if other committee members agree, we would support changing.
Madam Chair, we have not received any submission for amendment at this stage. Yeah.
Members, I see that the Secretariat proposed that we won't benefit from a relative active support at this time. So can we therefore adopt the paragraph as initially proposed? Go ahead, Tim, could you guide, please?
No, I have nothing to guide. I would suggest that if there is no amendment, we continue to adopt the decision as a whole unless a specific amendment is proposed. Thank you.
So at this time, we do not have a specific amendment, so we should proceed. And so if there is no objection, I therefore ask for the adoption of the draft decision as a whole, as appear on the screen. I see no objection. I therefore declare decision 15.com8.a.2 adopted as seen on the screens.
Madam Chair, I think Georgia would like to take the floor.
So, Georgia, you are now recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair, distinguished committee members. From the outset, let me convey sincere appreciation to the excellent organization of this 15th online session of the Intergovernmental Committee for the Safeguarding of Intangible Heritage in this hard time of pandemic. On behalf of the Georgian delegation, we acknowledge the decision of the respectful committee to refer the nomination to the state party and to resubmit it to the committee for examination during a following cycle. The nomination of wheat culture in Georgia to the urgent safeguard list was initiated and driven by the bearers, concerned communities, groups, and individuals for whom the wheat culture in Georgia is considered as an inseparable part of their cultural identity and inheritance, as a significant tool to further engagement of the community aspirations for safeguarding of the element. I am deeply convinced that the updated nomination file will fully meet all the criteria for the successful inscription into the safeguarding list during the following cycle of examination that will strongly endorse the concerned communities to promote intangible heritage values to the younger generation and to transmission of the traditional knowledge and practices within communities and respectful groups. Let me assure you that Georgia will spare no effort to further strengthen international cooperation for the safeguarding of intangible cultural heritage and will be fully committed to contribute to the effective performance of the Convention's main principles and fundamental aspects. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Georgia. Dear committee members, we now come to the examination of 2 nomination files to the urgent safeguarding list for which international assistance was simultaneously requested to support the implementation of the proposed safeguarding plan. Evaluation body, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next file is handmade weaving in Upper Egypt, Said, submitted by Egypt. The craft tradition handmade weaving in Upper Egypt, Said is a complex process that requires time, effort, patience, and practice. Many steps and techniques are involved in the loom preparation, threading, and weaving to achieve the final product. It is a work of a precious and intricate workmanship. The evaluation body considered that criteria U1, U2, and U4 are met, but that the information provided is not sufficient to determine whether criteria U3 and U5 are satisfied. In particular, the information demonstrating the coherent and consistent correspondence between the demonstrated needs and the proposed measures is lacking. Furthermore, insufficient information is provided on the relationship between the organization involved in the management and updating of the national inventory of intangible cultural heritage, as well as on the relationship between the state party and the Egyptian Society for Folk Traditions. In conclusion, the evaluation body recommends that this nomination be referred to the submitting state. Concerning the international assistance request, the criteria for identifying the potential beneficiaries of the training are not explicit. Moreover, the budget breakdown does not identify the activities in detail, including their timing, location, and other related safeguarding activities. Furthermore, the information provided is not sufficient to identify whether the ultimate purpose of the program is the safeguarding or offering work training for young women. Moreover, the request does not convincingly demonstrate how these experienced waivers will continue to be engaged in the practice of the element in an active manner. In conclusion, the evaluation body recommends that the international assistance request be referred to the submitting state as well. Thank you.
Thank you. For this nomination, an amendment has been tabled by 11 committee members. Would Saudi Arabia or another co-sponsor like to take the floor at this time? I recognize Kuwait. Please go ahead.
And Madam Chair, Saudi Arabia is also asking. I believe Saudi Arabia asked the floor.
Okay, thank you.
Saudi Arabia.
I don't know if Saudi Arabia would wish to respond, if the submitting state would wish to respond at this time.
Yes, please, Madam Chair, if you allow me. After receiving the clarifications of Egypt, Saudi Arabia would like to suggest the amendments as sent, co-sponsored by the member state displayed in the amendments. Along, I would like to add Sri Lanka and Cameroon. I would like now, with your permission, Madam Chair, to ask Ms. Ibtisam Al-Wahibi from the Saudi delegation to provide some more clarification regarding criteria U3.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and the esteemed committee. Thanks also to the evaluation body for the assessment of the handmade weaving in Upper Egypt. After reviewing the criteria U3 in the nomination form and further receiving clarifications from the state party about the coherence and correspondence between the demonstrated needs of the proposed measures and the safeguarding plans, we would like the state party to provide a summary of the clarifications provided about the economic aspects of the element and the commercialization of the fabric present in criteria U3.
Thank you. I believe we're now ready to move to the adoption of the decision. I see where we have other members who would wish to make interventions. I will ask Japan to proceed.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Tim, go ahead.
May I help? I understand that Saudi Arabia just asked a question to the submitting state, in this case, Egypt. Perhaps the submitting state could respond before the next request for the floor, and I see we have Kuwait, Japan, and Azerbaijan, and Morocco.
Okay.
And Jamaica.
Fine, so the submitting state, yes, please proceed.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chairman. Regarding the economic aspects, sustainable development is the main concern to communities, as it is also an objective that should be considered in planning the safeguarding plan. According to the Operation Directive, Chapter 6, paragraph 183, states parties are encouraged to acknowledge that the safeguarding of ICH contributes to inclusive of economic development and to recognize that sustainable development depends upon stable, equitable, and including economic growth based on sustainable pattern of production and consumption, and requires to reduce the reduction of poverty and inequality. It also recalled that the paragraph 185 states the state parties shall endeavor to recognize, promote, and enhance of the contribution of ICH to generating income and sustaining the livelihoods. Paragraph 185b1 indicates clearly that the aim is to promote opportunities for communities, groups, and individuals to generate income and sustain their livelihoods. The file proposed measures that facilitates the generation of fair income to the practitioners, which are not considered commercialization by any means. Furthermore, the safeguarding measures are suggested by the communities themselves, aiming to improve their quality of life, ensuring that from their work. As mentioned in the same chapter, section B2, finally, it is to be recalled that the operation guidelines of U3 states that the plan shall be elaborated to enable the communities, groups, and individuals to continue the practice and transmission of the element. Therefore, the inclusion of these measures were to correspond to the needs of ensuring that. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, we have no more time, and so we will continue with this tomorrow. And those who wish to make interventions can do so tomorrow. We have now come to the end of our second day of work together. I have to tell you, I'm quite concerned as we are seriously behind schedule. As you're aware, people around the world are waiting online for our discussion on the nomination files. In this regard, tomorrow the Bureau will discuss how we can manage the session going forward. Speaking about the Bureau, I would like to remind you that the Bureau will meet again tomorrow at 1 p.m. Paris time using the same Zoom link that is used for the main meeting. I look forward to seeing the Vice Chairpersons and Rapporteur at 1 p.m. so that we may start on time. I thank you. Thank you. Today's session of the committee is now closed.